Good morning. My name is Viscountess Else Hunrvogt. I am a member of the Order of the Pelican and a Rider of the West, and I obviously hail from the West Kingdom in the Principality of Snogwa, the Shire of Canale. Today, I'm looking forward to speaking with you all about the philosopher king of Portugal, sometimes called Dom Duarte, or more correctly, Duarte I. Duarte was born in 1391 to John I of Portugal, as well as Philippa of Lancaster. He was named for his grandfather, who was Edward III of England. We don't have extensive knowledge of what he did in his early years, but we do know that he spent some time in England with his brother and likely with his grandparents, and left behind some references to his time in the English countrysides. We also know that he rose to prominence when he was about 20. In 1411, his father began planning an expedition to North Africa and basically planning an invasion in Morocco. During that time, he turned over a lot of the day-to-day operations of Portugal and running the kingdom to his heir. We also know during this time period between about 1411, when the planning started, and 1415, when the expedition happened, that Duarte went through a period of depression that he spoke of. And within that time period, he pulled himself out. By the time the exhibition started in 1415, he was able to travel to North Africa with his family, and his great horsemanship and his battle prowess allowed him to win his spurs in Africa in 1415. That period of depression was very important because it really influenced a lot of the philosophy that he held and the philosophical works that he left behind. When he came back, while he was still heir to Portugal, he was the crown prince, he began doing a lot of writing. And he left those writings behind to us today to have a feel for what his personal philosophies were, not only on how to ride horses, but how to get beyond some of the challenges in life, and left behind really some universal truths for the ages. He married fairly late in life, and he married to Eleanor of Aragon. They were extremely fruitful and had quite a number of children that went on to influence the outcome in England. He did begin to reign in 1433. His time as king was not terribly noteworthy. He did have some unsuccessful expeditions, and he really, the impression that he leaves behind as a history of his people is based on his philosophy. His writing and his military is really how we know him. And the books that he left behind are unfinished works. They were accomplished over a number of years during his time as crown prince. And we can see from his own words that he really felt that the books themselves, there was no end to that. And that's likely something he picked up from his father, who was also a great writer and left behind a treatise on hunting that's enjoyed to this day. That was a bit longer than his son's. When we look at the two works that Duarte left us, the first, which is also unfinished, was a book that he dedicated to his wife called Loyal Counselor. They seem to have a long-standing relationship with a lot of support back and forth, and things worked well from there. The other work that he's noted for a little bit better, probably, at least for horse folks like myself, is his Dum Cavalgar, which is the things one needs to know in order to be a good rider. He leaves behind little bits and pieces where we get an idea of his philosophy. At one point, we talk about the things that come through and the challenges that one faces as a rider. And he talks about, at these times in life, we encounter adversities of action, speech, or care, and how that gives us a risk of being thrown, not only as someone who's on a horse, but perhaps someone who's experiencing some challenges as he did in terms of mental health. A lot of the underlying philosophy that he leaves in this book we believe go back to the way that he dealt with his own struggles with depression and the way that he was able to move on from there, or at least find a way to work within that depression in order to have an impact on his kingdom. We further find that he firmly believed that those inhibitions that were there came from the heart and his beliefs, and that in order to be able to move fluidly in the world and make an impact on the folks that he had to interact with, he had to eliminate those inhibitions. And again, in this particular quote, he alludes to the idea that it wasn't as simple as just how well he rode. It was something that impacted every single day of his life. If you would like to learn more about Dom Duarte, there are several translations of his text available. The 2016 translation includes quite a deal of the early information of his life, and is a great work that I recommend checking out, whether you are a horse person or just someone that wants to look a little more deeply into yourself and look into philosophy. You all have a good day. Bye-bye.